What if the silence between you could speak louder than words ever did? As a young American philosopher, a fierce advocate for women's resilience, and a storyteller weaving psychology with Stoic wisdom, I've seen how the stillness of absence can reignite the deepest connections, especially for women breaking free from societal shackles. Today, we'll explore why a woman might return after a period of no contact, not through manipulation or chase, but through the transformative power of your own growth. Drawing from real stories like Anna, a single mother in Miami who rediscovered her ex's worth in the quiet of her mornings, or Leela, a teacher in Seattle who felt her sister's accents during a storm. Will guide you through a journey rooted in Stoic virtues, wisdom, courage, justice, and moderation. These aren't just ancient ideals, they're tools for modern women to reclaim agency, and for you to become a presence so profound that its echo draws her back. This isn't about winning her over with grand gestures. It's about the subtle strength of stepping away, giving her space to reflect, and letting your evolution shine. Picture Maria, a nurse in Chicago who only noticed her friend's steady support when their daily calls stopped, or Sophia, an artist in Brooklyn whose ex's silence revealed his quiet dignity. These women, shaped by a world that often demands they prove their worth, found clarity in the void. Let's dive into why this happens, how Stoicism lights the path, and why your resilience might be the magnet that pulls her back into your orbit. The power of absence. In a world that screams for constant presence, texts buzzing, calls ringing, attention demanded, the choice to step back feels radical, almost defiant. Yet, as a linguist and feminist thinker, I've learned that absence isn't emptiness. It's a canvas for reflection, a mirror for what truly matters. Stoicism, with its call to focus on what you can control, turns this silence into a quiet revolution. For women whose emotional intuition often cuts through life's noise, this space can awaken a longing they didn't know they held. Consider Anna, the Miami mom I met during a workshop. After her breakup, she was used to her ex's morning coffee run small acts she barely registered. When he went silent, the kitchen grew still, and that stillness whispered his name. She didn't miss the coffee, she missed the care, the stability he wove into her chaotic days. Or think of Maria, the nurse, whose friends' daily check-ins faded after a spat. It wasn't until her phone stopped lighting up that she felt the hole his warmth had filled. Absence didn't just make her heart ache, it made it see. Stoicism teaches us to let go of what we can't grasp, her feelings, her choices, and to master what we can, our thoughts, our actions, our peace. When you embrace no contact, you're not playing a game, you're planting a seed. I counseled Leela, the Seattle teacher, who cut ties with her sister over a misunderstanding. Months later, alone in a storm, she longed for her sister's calm voice. That silence wasn't punishment, it was clarity. Women, often juggling societal expectations, need this room to breathe, to sift through their emotions. Your absence gives her that gift. Picture her day without your usual text, the one she'd grown to expect. At first, it's a relief, space, freedom. Then, as the quiet stretches, she notices the gap. Your laugh, your steadiness, your quirks, they start to glow in her mind. I've seen this with Sophia, the artist, whose ex stopped reaching out after their split. In that void, she replayed his quiet support during her gallery shows, a presence she'd overlooked. Stoicism doesn't chase, it stands firm. By controlling your own path, living with purpose, not panic, you become a beacon. She might return, not because you begged, but because the silence showed her what she'd lost. This isn't about forcing her hand. It's about being so rooted in your own worth that your absence speaks. Anna told me she reached out to her ex not out of guilt, but because his silence revealed his strength, a man who didn't need to cling. That's the power of absence. It's a mirror for her soul, a chance for her to see you anew, shaped by the resilience women have fought for across centuries. Emotional control and composure. Emotions can be a storm, pulling us toward rash words or desperate pleas. But as a psychologist, I've seen how composure, a Stoic cornerstone, can turn chaos into strength, especially for women who've battled to be heard. When you face no contact with calm instead of frenzy, you don't just hold yourself together, you shine a light that draws her back. Take Leela, the teacher whose sister stopped speaking after their fight. She wanted to flood her inbox, to fix it all with words. Instead, she paused, breathed, and focused on her own peace. Months later, her sister called, struck by Leela's stillness amid their storm. Or picture Rosa, a barista in Phoenix, whose ex went quiet after a breakup. She expected texts, tears, something. His calm silence, though, lingered in her mind, a mystery she couldn't shake. Women, often navigating a world that dismisses their depth, notice this restraint. Stoicism says, master yourself, not her. When you resist the urge to chase, you show a strength rare in a culture of instant reaction. I met Nadia, a designer in Atlanta, who watched her friend pull back after a falling out. His lack of desperate calls didn't feel cold, it felt steady, a rock she'd once leaned on. That composure sparked her curiosity. Why isn't he breaking? What's holding him up? For women, whose resilience often hides behind quiet endurance, this stability is magnetic. Imagine her waiting for your outburst, only to find silence. You're not raging or pleading, you're living, grounded in your own skin. I've counseled women like Maria, who returned to exes not for grand apologies, but for the calm they exuded in absence. Your emotional mastery isn't loud, it's a whisper that echoes. Rosa told me she texted her ex because his silence wasn't weak, it was powerful, a sign he respected himself enough to wait. That's stoicism at work, not bending to fear, but rising above it, a trait women, forged in struggle, can't ignore. Respect for boundaries. Boundaries are sacred, a line women have fought to draw in a world that often blurs them. As a feminist philosopher, I've seen how respecting space, hers and yours, can shift everything. Stoicism, with its focus on what's ours to control, makes no contact a quiet act of honor, not a ploy. For women, this respect can be the spark that reignites connection. Think of Sophia, the Brooklyn artist, whose ex stopped texting after their split. She'd braced for a barrage pleas, guilt trips. Instead, he gave her room, a gesture she hadn't expected. Months later, she reached out, struck by his dignity. Or consider Anna, the Miami mom, whose ex didn't fight her need for distance. That space let her breathe, and in it, she saw his worth anew. Women, often taught to shrink themselves, feel this respect like a lifeline. Stoicism doesn't force, it releases. When you step back, you say, I value you enough to let you go, and me enough to stand alone. I met Tara, a chef in Portland, whose friend honored her request for space after a rift. His silence wasn't sulking, it was strength, and it pulled her back. For women like Leela, whose sister respected her silence, this act wasn't abandonment, it was trust, a bridge to reconciliation. Picture her asking for time, and you giving it not with bitterness, but with grace. You focus on yourself, not her inbox. Rosa, the barista, told me her ex's respect for her boundaries made her is his quiet presence at her counter. Stoicism knows we can't hold others, only ourselves. By living that truth, you become a man she respects, not just remembers, a beacon of maturity in a world that often demands too much. Growth during absence. Adversity isn't a curse, it's a forge. As a storyteller, I've watched women turn pain into power, a stoic truth that shines in no contact. When you use silence to grow, not to wait, you become a version of yourself that's hard to forget, especially for women who've clawed their way to strength. Imagine Maria, the nurse, whose friend vanished after a fight. She didn't chase, she thrived, took up yoga, owned her skills. When he saw her glow months later, he reached out, drawn to her evolution. Or think of Nadia, the designer whose ex pulled back. She expected stagnation, instead he built a business. His growth, not his pleas, brought her back. Women, often the backbone of resilience, notice this shift. Stoicism sees every trial as a chance to refine. I counseled Leela, who used her sister's absence to write to heal. When they reconnected, her sister marveled at her strength. For women like Sophia, whose ex turned silence into self-betterment, this growth isn't just attractive, it's inspiring, a mirror to their own journeys. Picture you, not pining, but rising, hitting the gym, chasing dreams, finding peace. Anna saw her ex's new confidence at a mutual friend's party, and it stirred her. Stoicism doesn't wait, it builds. Your growth isn't for her, it's for you, and that's why it pulls. Tara's friend returned because her new passions shone, a testament to time well spent. Women, forged in struggle, see this as a call to their own power. The appeal of independence. Freedom is a woman's birthright, hard-won through centuries of defiance. As a philosopher, I've seen Stoic self-reliance say happiness born within captivate them. When you thrive without her, not needing her to complete you, you become a force she can't resist. Take Rosa, the barista, whose ex stopped clinging after their split. He traveled, laughed, lived. Word got back, and she wondered, how's he so whole? Her curiosity turned to longing. Or consider Tara, the chef, whose friend rebuilt his life post-rift. His independence didn't push her away, it pulled her closer. Women, often burdened by others' needs, crave this lightness. Stoicism says, your joy is yours to craft. I met Anna, whose ex's solo adventures hiking, creating lit a spark. She didn't return out of duty, but desire for his free spirit. For women like Leela, whose sister stood tall alone, this independence mirrors their own fight for agency. Imagine her seeing you thrive, not broken, but whole. Sophia's ex didn't beg, he painted, grew. That freedom drew her back, not from guilt but awe. Stoicism doesn't need, it radiates. Your peace, your purpose, become a magnet. Maria's friend returned because her self-sufficiency echoed his own, a dance of equals born in silence. Self-respect and dignity. Dignity is a woman's shield, and yours can be her mirror. As a psychologist, I've seen Stoic self-worth not begging, not breaking strike a chord. When you hold your ground in silence, you don't just keep your pride. You show her a strength she can't forget. Picture Nadia, the designer, expecting her ex to crumble. Instead, he went quiet, focused, grew. Months later, she texted, drawn to his unshaken core. Or think of Sophia, whose ex didn't plead, he stood firm. His dignity pulled her back, a rare gem in a world of chase. Women, who fought to be seen, feel this deeply. Stoicism knows your value isn't hers to give. I counseled Rosa, whose ex's silence wasn't spite, it was honor. She returned, struck by his refusal to bend. For women like Anna, whose ex held his head high, this self-respect isn't arrogance, it's a call to their own. Imagine her waiting for you to falter, only to find you steady. Leela's sister came back because her calm dignity shone. Stoicism doesn't compromise, it stands. Your worth, unshaken, becomes a light. Tara's friend saw her pride and mirrored it, a bond reborn in mutual respect. Confidence without arrogance. Confidence isn't loud, it's deep, a Stoic gift women recognize. As a storyteller, I've seen quiet self-assurance, not bravado, pull them back. When you grow in silence, not for applause, you become a mystery they yearn to unravel. Take Maria, whose friend emerged from no contact calm, centered. She reached out, intrigued by his peace. Or picture Leela, whose sister returned, sensing a new strength, no boasts, just presence. Women, often undervalued, see this as a quiet revolution. Stoicism builds confidence within. I met Sophia, whose ex's steady demeanor post-split drew her in. He didn't flaunt, he was. For women like Rosa, whose ex radiated calm, this isn't show, it's truth, a pull to their own power. Imagine her meeting you again, your ease a silent song. Anna's ex didn't preach his growth, he lived it, and she felt it. Stoicism doesn't shout, it glows. Your assurance, earned in silence, becomes her beacon, not because you demand, but because you are. The value of time apart. Time isn't just distance, it's a lens. As a philosopher, I've seen Stoic reflection turn absence into clarity, especially for women seeking truth. When you use silence to grow, not pine, you both find what matters, and she might find her way back. Think of Tara, whose friend used their rift to heal. When they met again, his depth stunned her. Or consider Nadia, whose ex's time apart birthed new skills. She returned, seeing a man transformed. Women, reflective by nature, thrive in this space. Stoicism values time as growth soil. I counseled Anna, whose ex's quiet evolution writing, running pulled her in. For women like Leela, whose sister's pause brought wisdom, this isn't absence, it's awakening. Picture you, not waiting but rising. Sophia's ex didn't chase, he built, and she noticed. Stoicism doesn't rush, it ripens. Your change, born in time, becomes a call. Rose's ex returned because her growth mirrored his, a bond sharpened by distance. Patience and inner peace. Patience is a woman's strength, and yours can be her comfort. As a psychologist, I've seen stoic calm a peace that waits draw her back. When you don't force, but trust, you create a heaven she can't resist. Imagine Leela, whose sister stayed patient post-fight. Her call came, soothed by that calm. Or think of Maria, whose friend's stillness after silence felt safe. She returned, drawn to his peace. Women, seeking safety, feel this deeply. Stoicism lets life unfold. I met Rosa, whose ex's patience not pressure opened her heart. For women like Anna, whose ex waited with grace, this isn't weakness, it's power, a balm to their storms. Picture her reaching out, your calmest eddy shore. Sophia's ex didn't push, he was, and she came. Stoicism doesn't hurry, it holds. Your peace, your patience, become her anchor, not by force, but by being.